Call this continuation meeting to order. It's good to see all of you here. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, I've got several people. I have sort of made a practice in the past of allowing people to speak if they want to be here and have something to say. And I know we did our public input last week, but if there's no objection, we have a consensus that we have some folks that want to speak tonight. Different things, primarily due to the budget. Is that okay? Sure. Sheriff Robert Hall.
First of all, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Gentlemen, first let me begin by saying that I take the responsibility of serving as sheriff extremely serious. I'm responsible for protecting this community, those that support me, those that work against me, those that believe in our mission, and those that do not. The day I was elected, I gave an oath to protect and serve. That did not mean only those that held the same beliefs, but to serve all the citizens of Macon County. When it comes to those we serve, your responsibility is virtually the same as mine. I stand before you tonight to let you know that the budget you're voting on tonight is not perfect, but all of us have spent several months working with our county manager to make this budget what it is. As department heads, we are the ones that are responsible for providing the services to the citizens of this county. Of course, those services cost us all, your family and ours. We too are taxpayers, and just like you, many others in this community and also in this room. Tonight, I do not want to see our taxes raised. I would encourage you to support our county manager in his budget request. He pays taxes too, and if he saw a way to reduce all of our taxes, he would do so, but he has nothing to gain by not doing so. He and our finance officer have worked diligently in preparing a workable budget and are very aware of the dollars we have to work with. Neither of them have anything to gain by making any recommendations to you. Lastly, your job is like my job. It's easy. It must be, because you get told daily how to do it. I, along with many others, thank you for the efforts and for your service to our county. Each of you hold a position I would never want. As the old saying goes, dang if you do, and dang if you don't. I don't always agree with you. My budget that you may be approving tonight is not perfect in everything that we need to do to carry out our services, but I respect you and our county manager. I do not always understand why things are done the way they are, but I respect your opinion. I respect the fact that you're willing to put yourselves out there and be targeted by all those who think they may have a better plan. Because I'm here almost every meeting, the entire meeting, I see the efforts that are put forth and the decisions that each of you make and carry out in your votes. You're well aware that I do not work for you. I work for the citizens of this county. If I saw a hidden agenda, I would be the first to call you out on it. And I believe you would do me as well. Again, thank you for your commitment to our families and to the taxpayers of Macon County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheriff. Hey, Rob.
Oh, another question.
What? No, I have a question.
Well, I said Robbie.
No, I said thank you, Rob. You're dismissed, Robbie.
Thank you.
Michael Gaines had a comment on the budget.
All I want to say is to each and every one of y'all sitting here, thank you for your time. I know it wasn't easy doing what you're doing, but I appreciate it. That's all I got to say. Just like thank you, every one of y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Michael. Kenneth McCaskill, I think Kenneth is here to make a comment or two on the budget.
I've been before you before, disagree with the decision you made. I'm not going to praise you like Robbie did, because I'm not for that. And I'll tell you why. Given you're an insurance agent, we've delayed dropping the insurance rating in Birmingham at least another year. That's what it amounts to. Whether that's $150 per homeowner, a $100,000 house, or whatever it is, we put it off one more year for any. And so I'd like to make a presentation tonight to the representative apparently who makes that decision, who lives in our fire district. And it's called Smart Moves for People in Charge by Sam D. Lyle Susman of retail fund.
Thank you, Tim.
Is that all, Ken?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Les Slater is here, and he has some comments regarding the budget too. Welcome, Les.
I was speaking in support of the county manager's feelings on the school budget, and I want to make one comment. We need to get the state to give special consideration to Macon County. And Commissioner, Mr. Beal, is a fellow political club, as a position holds in the county commissions. And we need to get hot on that because we're just kicking the can down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slater. What Les was referring to, he and I talked about the other day, is legislation to grant some additional funding to K-12 schools. Chris, you can speak to that there in any of us. The state funds the school based on blocks of 22 and 24, and they really don't understand the school like that. So we tried to get legislation. We got it, Les introduced in the Senate this year. It got through a committee or two, maybe first reading. We didn't get it into the House. So we need to do that. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you. Heather Snyder is here, and Heather is going to make comments on the budget. Welcome. Thank you, Dan.
I wanted to thank everybody for letting those of us that have come from the Lorraine County Fire Department speak tonight. My husband and I have been involved with the fire department now for 18 years. We've got a lot accomplished in those 18 years. We want to thank Mr. Beal, especially, for all the support that he's given the fire department. Several other members here that have been very supportive of the things that the fire department has tried to accomplish over the years. I can't say enough how strongly the members of the department, their families, and our neighbors feel in regards to putting a paid person on our department. We, better than anybody else, understand the sacrifices that we make. With all due respect, I have yet to see the first one in this room get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to save someone's life, a fire call, give CPR to someone who is dying, or at 2 o'clock in the afternoon have to leave their job in jeopardy of losing their job because there's no medical people available in the district for address. Today, since 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock, we incurred over 80 signatures of individuals that live in our community, all over our community, who want a paid person. They're willing to fight tax increase. They're willing to do what it takes to get it. And they are the ones that show up at our fundraisers and show up to support us with donations. And they want it known that they are willing to support us with donations.
Thank you.
And with food.
Can you believe that?
Sorry.
With us. I'm not sure, Mike, I guess, maybe when you get out that they can get their body done right now. Yeah, whoever signed up after Heather, who signed up, because I can't read your name. I apologize. Mike Shoot. Okay. Sorry, Mike. You can't read my handwriting either.
Mike Shoot, I live in Southern Colorado Fire Department, involved in I've got to meet quite a few people today since we've been people paid since 11 o'clock this morning. From all walks of life. And everyone has pretty much got the same thing to say. We can save one of their family members, save time for one of us getting there. We have to save a person on it. We have to take the hit for tax increases. like Eddie said, there's a lot of people, all parties, okay, they've got jobs and families too, so you got so much. And the average volunteer firefighter spends anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 of his own money a year on gas, tires, brakes, new vehicles, away from their families and stuff like that, responsibilities, and all of them, don't ask for nothing. We don't want that. But I do believe that each taxpayer should have the benefit of having a paid person in this district. Appreciate y'all letting me talk.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. You signed up after mine. Is that you, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Earl Dryman told me I'd never mount anything because my handwriting was so bad. And he wants to write that second one.
Yeah, I have a troubleshooting.
You should, Mr. Shaw.
First, I would like to thank everybody for this chance to speak. Like most of the rest of the people in the department, I'm disappointed in the decision that was made about the increase in order to be able to put on a paid person. I've been with the department for around 5 years now. It's been close to 6 or 7 years since this department has asked for any type of a budget increase. We have been paying our bills every year with the budget we've had for 6 or 7 years, with the cost of fuel and everything else going up, electricity and everything going up. And we've been keeping our equipment in good repair. We've been buying new equipment. We're in the process of trying to get properly put a second building up. Should give us better response times. And like Kevin said, there aren't many people who will roll out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to go fight a fire or to go try to save someone's life. And I've been one of our motor truck operators, motor pump operators, and I know what it's like to roll out of bed and know that someone's life depends on, or someone's property depends on me getting to get that truck and get it to fire. And I know what it's like to stand at work knowing that I can't afford to leave work to go get a truck and go back to the fire scene. I have myself actually had to pass the scene for medical calls to go get a truck so that I could drive back and get there. Unfortunately, that gentleman did not make it. And that still bothers me to this day. And I don't see how, in good conscience, that you could vote the way you voted. I appreciate your time. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Jessica Maney. Thank you, Jessica. Carmen Thompson. Thank you. And we've got Chris Baldwin and Jim Breedlove. Was there anybody else who wanted to speak about the fire? Thank you, there was. Okay, let's let them.
Oh, you go on.
Come here.
How you doing? My name's Robert Thompson.
Robert Thompson.
Yes, sir. I understand, I've been on the department over a year now, First time I ever did anything like this in my life. Very important to have someone at the station at all times. The reason why, just like Bill was stating, we have got to pass the scene to get to the station. If we had someone there, we wouldn't have to pass the scene. People, lives depend. Every station in Macon County should have a paid person. Bottom line, that's it. Everybody's relies on us. We'll get paid, we get up in the morning, go to work like everybody else here. And we don't have to. Well, that's for a barbecue every now and then, but that's not it. We need this. Put a lot of thought into it, please.
Thank you, Robert. Anyone else for, yes, sir?
My name's Mike Roper, and I've been on Burlington Fire Department for about 22 years now. We've never asked for 7 years for a pay raise, but we need this. It will save people's lives, save property, and you know that well as I do. And for them, you've been on fire departments before, you know how it is to straight by. And we need this, need it bad. Help us out a whole lot.
Thanks, Mike.
I got one question I want to ask you, Ken, if you don't care. You got a truck down that one man that can operate.
That one man can operate the
It
truck?
only takes two to operate the truck.
No, it takes one man to operate the truck, but you gotta have somebody to operate the nozzle, which is about 2 more minimum, and to do it properly, you should have 2 attack lines, which require a minimum of 2 people on it. You should have a safety line. If I'm wrong, somebody tell me. They really should have 3 people each on
Just
it.
asking.
So, but operating the truck, one man can get that truck there and get it in service. And we
You get the
have,
hose to spray water, I said.
no, he's not, that's what I said, he can't operate it. But if I've got 3 people on the way to Burlington Station that pass the airport or Iowa School for an emergency call, and I've sent 3 people right on by Iowa School down to get to the station, bring me a truck back, I don't have those 3 people when that first truck gets there to fix an attack line, to hook up to the dry hydrant, to pressurize the sprinkler system. I don't have that. But operating the truck, yes, one man can operate that truck and get water flowing. But he can't pull the line and do the attack. No department can do that. I guess we have a big area.
Well, I know that they got a truck behind the hay, which is that one man can operate. Am I right?
I don't know of any such device available for the fire service. Now, the Forest Service has one that the operator can go through and spray roadsides and stuff with out of the truck. We could do that in a couple of hours. But you're not going to do an interior attack on a building with a crew of 1. But you are going to get the truck there where the other folks responding to that call can go to the calls to the station.
Okay, was there anybody else we missed? All right, thank you guys, Chris. Jim.
Appreciate the opportunity to do for you. I'd just like to say that I support the proposed budget, which I have before you tonight, and thank you for the projected increase in funding. The immediate benefit of this is that we'll be able to put teachers back in the classrooms and keep our class sizes at manageable levels. And that's an obvious benefit to students in Macon County. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll echo Chris's sentiments. Thank you very much for your consideration of centers, maybe an increase proposed. We appreciate that greatly. I promise you will be good stewards of that money. I'm asking for your indulgence, and I'm going to look at Chairman Corbin and he may correct me if I'm wrong. At the last time when we met, we had a work session. I think we had a discretionary use of possibly the supplement if that's approved and also our fund balance. But I don't think that formal vote was taken on that.
That's what I think what Dr. Duncan asked, and you asked was, would we allow the flexibility of you to move money within your line items in general without naming any specific ones?
Right.
I think the consensus of our board was yes.
Okay. if it's not asking too much, I'd like to, if we could get a formal vote on that. As we go into it, we'd like this, the board would like this to have discretion. And what we try to do, we're going to do everything we can to allot those funds where it's intended. There may be things that happen as we get into this uncharted territory, call it, where we might need to possibly take part of the supplement or cap outlay. We just like to have it, if it's agreeable to the board, just go ahead and have a vote to that effect, that the Board of Education would have that discretion.
That would be fine with me. Let me ask before we do anything, Jack, is that, can we vote in general to give them flexibility that we're
I
gonna?
think we need to request.
I think you need some kind of formal request in writing to do that.
Okay.
Because if it's in the budget, it's in a line item in the budget, and to move it out of that line item, it's not incurring expense in a separate line item for the county until it's dispersed to the schools. So, you know, even if you had discretion to use it, you could use it until the county commissioners move it from one line item to another.
Is it the consensus of your board
That is.
you do want to do that?
That is correct.
I think what Jack's saying,
Very quick request, like,
if you'll have your board vote to do that.
we're meeting Monday, we'll do so.
And we meet again, if not before, we meet July 9th, right?
Yeah, you would have to allow that to be moved from supplement over to regular current expense appropriation, to give them discretion to use that, either some of it or all of it. And
I think as far as your discussions go, I think we have a consensus that we will do that.
Okay, I get that, we're just going to try to clarify, and just want to make sure that was agreeable, and not to outline that request. We will do it formally per written. Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for what you do. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, we have two, that I'm aware of, 2 items of business. Jack, was there anything else that we need to consider tonight?
I don't think so, unless there's some, unless the attorney had something. I think it was probably everything else that we had. We've got a couple of little irons on the fire out there, but I'm sure they'll be in the July meeting. But I guess the main thing is to probably clean up current year's budget for the budget adjustment that our financial director has provided for you, and also to get the board's approval of the budget ordinance for
Okay. Gentlemen, I think you see that Lori has given us an ordinance. We have to pass, she explains better now, but an ordinance that says at the end of the year, this was our budget, that we are completed on June the 4th.
Basically, this ordinance just requires no statute. You can begin the year with an ordinance, you have to end the year with the final ordinance. All amendments and any other adjustments that are necessary. So that's what's recorded.
I'm understanding that we have two issues that are both rolled into one
They're
ordinance.
two separate issues.
Okay.
I need a motion to approve the ordinance and the fiscal year 12-13.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote on the ordinance, I was just wondering, since we were getting a petition from Birmingham, Iowa, with a lot of names of your who spoke, are there any change of heart on this board about Birmingham Fire Department? And that's the first question.
I'm going to make a comment on that. I appreciate y'all coming. I know a lot of you. Let me tell you where I stand. When Birmingham, Iowa Fire Department was moved from the airport to Birmingham, I was involved in purchasing that property, building that fire department, going to meetings, stayed on the board. I don't know how many years, you can check back on the records, but did put some time into the fire department. I understand and I appreciate what y'all do. We structured that thing, we had much debate about it. We structured it as a volunteer fire department. And I understand what commitments as volunteers, as paid employees, the stress that has on your family and you individually, financially, economically, mentally. It's a tough job. It's a thankless job a lot of times. The reason, I'm not a politician. I didn't have any desire to be involved in politics. The reason I got involved, I thought that government had expanded in its size and scope more than it should have. Now, someday, if we want to have that debate, that we go from a volunteer fire department, and some of them already have, to paid positions funded by taxpayer dollars, that's another debate. That's a debate that's down the road. But I took an oath when I went to my supporters, gathered money to run this campaign, got elected. It was on the premise that I would not support the expansion in size or scope of government. I think it's too big. I think it's going to get to a point to where the taxpayers, and y'all are taxpayers, we're all taxpayers, we're tapped out, we're taxed out. Now, I've polled a lot of people in my community. You all have done the same thing. Maybe we should have got both sides here and had to debate, but I do appreciate y'all coming, and I listen to what you have to say. But I do not support when we have one full-time employee, and a lot of you mentioned at 3 o'clock in the morning. This full-time employee doesn't have anybody at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're not there. We'll go from 8 to 5, then and we're seeing it happening already in other parts. We'll go from 8 to 5, from 5, it's going to turn into a full-time thing. I do not think that the taxpayers in general can support it or want it. That's my personal opinion. Now, you can disagree with that, and I hope you do it professionally. But the reason I ran for this office, I've explained to you, we can disagree on these things. I will do it professionally. I hold no ill against any of you because you disagree with me. I hope you will show me that same respect. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Paul. Well, suggesting change that we need to do that. We're talking about,
Yeah, the motion to do the
this
ordinance
year.
in the current year.
What Corey brought up was, this is just a finalizing the numbers for the 12-13 budget that we're getting ready to close out in 2 weeks less. So we need a motion to approve that budget ordinance as she's presented. These are actual numbers. Do we have a motion to approve it? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget ordinance closing out the fiscal year 2012-2013. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving that, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now for the budget ordinance for this year, again, it's the same type thing, it's just the ordinance to begin the year, and then we'll have to close out that at the end of the year as well. Is there any questions for Lori for clarification? This, I believe, Lori is just taking the budget items that we discussed over the past 3, 4, 5 months and putting it all in one place. Anything to add?
Yeah, just slip statement or two. As I told you at our last meeting, I would take general fund name, the general fund number that was, which was the 46,643,716, which was in your detailed budget book. Add in the 476,754 list that we discussed at our last meeting for a total of 47,124,70. And then the county manager may want to elaborate on this. We added an additional 25,000 today for Eisenhower Department windows. So the general fund total is $47,145,407, and you can see that on the ordinance. The only other change that you'll see in the ordinance that's different from your vote book will be in the fire districts. Those two that y'all gave consensus for the rates, which were auto and Valley. Those numbers, had to be increased, so those changes have been made to the fire district budgets.
I need to follow up with my goodness, Chairman, while we're talking about that situation. You got a couple of man-made ponds out there, for a liability to the county. We need to get those things drained for 2 reasons. One for safety, the other is can use that property unless you drain those ponds anyway. So instead of coming back to you all next month and asking for a budget amendment to do that, we ask you to put that budget in the budget ordinance for this year. We estimate it's going to be around $25,000.
Do they film them or?
Oh, well, well, they do fill them, but he actually, first of all, he's got to drain the water, then he's got to dig it out. And he's got to put in some kind of a line or some kind of balance and so forth. We had Mr. Hanlon out there to look at it, tell us what it's going to take to do it. I mean, if we just putting a hose in to drain it out, we could do it ourselves, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Paul's got probably some experience dealing with
Use some
stuff
of
like
that dirt
that.
from the library.
But it needs to be filled in. And you asked me a question while I was talking, I didn't hear what you said. What you said?
Just make a comment that it's not in the floodplain where you built it.
Oh, no, it's,
Then I mentioned the dirt at the library.
the dirt that was dug out of it will go back in it. So there's a written pile of that out.
Okay. Corey, any other clarification on this? I think a motion will be in order.
When you approve the ordinance, you're basically approving everything in there, including the fire and district rates.
Well, we want to discuss separating them. I think we talked about it before we entertain the motion. Discussion on that.
Well, I think everybody knows where I'm at with the Birmingham Fire Department. I mean, it's more than just, this is, Paul may be right. As the county continues to change and grow, you know, in this particular instance, like we said the other day, this is the EMS base, that community, and that community wasn't just Birmingham. You got all of Rose Creek, comes all the way to school, I think. So it's more than just that, but it is more than just having somebody there with a truck with one hose to put out a fire. It's that medical call, somebody with a heart attack, motorcycle wrecks every other day on 28. So I'm just saying, Mr. Chairman, that if, you know, now's the time, if there's any change of heart on the board, in regard to the board, to give this fire department not only what they deserve, but the community deserves. So, I just, you know, you see where, you got a lot of names, you're a lot of property owners that they present us tonight, so I'm just reiterating where I stand for it, sure. That's all I got to say.
Give me a good comment. Hey.
No, that's what I need to say.
I have to be honest with you on the way I feel about this on both sides. It's tough. I wish in life some things like this we didn't have to make decisions. I have to be honest.
I guess I'm, you know, struggling with I try to be consistent. Whether you agree with me or whether you don't, I try to be consistent. And I guess I'm sitting here struggling with myself that, again, I'll be honest with you, I didn't hear an outcry from the community, hey, we want this. I heard you say, I understand that. I heard from you, and I appreciate that. You had every right to request that, but I heard from the fire department, not the community. And
Community. I'm from the community.
Well, I understand, I'm talking about before we voted last Thursday. We didn't hear anything. I didn't. And inconsistent, but I did hear from Cowee, or from the Cowee community development, or relation to community development technology. I don't think I did hear what I said. We heard from the community development group in Otto and Cowee said we want this. I got a number of phone calls from people in both of those communities said we want this. So I felt like if you're saying you want it, you want to pay for it, you feel like it'll lower your insurance rates and so forth, then I'll support it. And I, in respect to Mr. Higgin, he said he heard from a lot of folks down there that didn't. We didn't hear any yeses. Does that make sense? I believe he talked to people that said they didn't want it. So I'm sitting here saying, well, now I've heard from people that do want it. So if I'm going to be consistent, do I allow that like we did?
Can I ask a question?
You sure can, 'cause I'm trying to think.
Well, me too. Like I say, I wish you didn't have to. Public services and safety is pretty much on my list, priority. But is this something we've got to do right this minute?
The problem is, if I understand this right.
You get one time a year to set the tax rate, after that, you gotta wait till the next year this time.
We're voting on an ordinance which will include that. And we can't come back and amend the tax rate, is that right? No, I mean, I'm talking out loud. If we decided, Ron, if we talked about, we decided in September, we're gonna fund that $25,000, we would have to amend our budget but we couldn't amend the tax rate, that's already been set.
Okay. I guess what I was trying to say is this, and what it sounds like we're going to have an option. We've got to vote for our budget tonight. And we've not had, I mean, I'd look for some extra time if in a week or so, if there's any way doing it. Maybe contact the people, us talk to them, whatever.
Who asked y'all to come tonight, Heather? Whose idea was that?
Ours, fire department as a whole,
Who initiated?
myself, the other officers, board, community members that came to us. We had lots of phone calls after y'all's last meeting. The majority of the people that spoke to us, I'm sorry, I'm being disrespectful. when I say
No,
that.
go ahead, we
The majority of the people that spoke to us are individuals that, through the wonderful grapevine that is Macon County, people hear stuff, they hear good stuff and bad stuff, they hear right stuff and wrong stuff. So a lot of them contacted us with, what's this we hear, starting their conversation. The majority of the people that we spoke to that aren't in favor of this and are supportive of this and have signed that, a good deal of those individuals we've assisted on calls, daytime calls in specific, ones that, you know, for the longest time, those of you that know us, that know Joe and I, you know, Ken and Joe and I have been on fire department right about the same time period, all joined right about the same time period. For the longest time, we ran a construction business out of our own home, like you run a business out of your home. Heather and Joe with everything. Heather, Joe, and Ken were the first three. Dispatch will tell you that signed into absolutely every call because we were available. Now, we didn't make any money when we missed work. Just because we worked for ourselves, we still missed that income, but we were able to go. When the economy tanked, like everybody else's economy, we had to find work elsewhere. And when Heather and Joe and Ken aren't available, it puts a hurt on who can respond. Let me put it in one more comment. When we went before our board some years ago requesting the money for a Jaws of Life, EMS, David Key, Terry Bates here can tell you how important something like that is. When there's an accident, you need to get somebody out and hurt. We had a couple of board members at that time that made the comment, how often are you going to use it? And how important is it? You can say the same thing to everybody in this room and to everybody sitting up there for this paid person. If we use that paid person one time, one day, out of 1 year, he saves your wife's life, or your granddaughter's life, or your mother's life. Was that paid person not worth it? The signatures on that piece of paper want that known, that they support it and they appreciate what we're doing, day or night, and that they know how hard the rest of us do work, that our volunteers, yes, we signed that paper saying we would be down there. We're volunteering our time to be away from our families and our work and everything. Yes, we volunteered to do that. But all that we're asking for is that you give us the assistance we need to further provide the care and attention we know our county needs, and our members need, and our community needs. And we can't do that all the time, Monday through Friday. We just physically can't do it.
And I'm not doubting any of that.
I know, I'm just telling you,
It's a
this is
thankless
why they
job.
called. This is why they asked.
And I could have brought some supporters, opposing supporters, but I don't think this is the place to iron that out. Mr. Chairman. Looks like your call. Let me speak real quick.
I'm the Fire Department Association liaison for this board. I guess our chairman put me on that because he knows I am a fireman. I've got 15 years of service in it, 13 years as an officer. I took time off from work today to respond to first responder calls. So I'm well aware. Last year, Highlands Fire Department, which is my department, wanted a tax increase. That's what the officers voted for, and we declined it. I'm still getting stones thrown at me for doing that, but unfortunately, that department's sort of at a disadvantage because I've got to know the ins and outs of that department's budget and know the nuts and bolts. And it's tough. I just didn't feel like that they needed it. When we met at our fellow safety fire department 2-3 months ago, we started initially talking about this budget. I threw out, I believe, the 4 important things that needed to be done for this board to vote on a tax increase. And number 1 on that list, which I emphasized, was getting community support. When you get community support behind it, it's a lot easier for us as commissioners to pass things where we don't have to ride the fence like we're doing tonight. When we voted last week on this, we had two people speak. We had Kenneth speak, and we had Commissioner Higgins speak. And from my standpoint, no disrespect, Kenneth, but you've got a commissioner that lives in your district, and he's saying that he's talked to a lot of people. Now, I haven't heard one way or the other, but tonight we're obviously got a different story. So you're asking me to reverse my vote of what I voted last week based upon the facts that I was given last week. I don't know if it ever happens in this room before. I haven't ever done it before as a commissioner. It puts me in a precarious position. And I'm about to ride the fence again. I hope Paul can appreciate that. I know y'all can't see me. So I'm still kind of hovering here. Unfortunately, I made it. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, can we discuss the budget and the fire taxes? Can we vote on this separately?
I think it's on part of the, I think it's one ordinance.
You didn't want to vote tonight, and it has to be adopted by June 30th.
Well, let me ask this. Can we pass the budget as is, not grant the fire tax increase for them, and potentially discuss a designation of funds out of fund balance at a later date for it?
We need to think about that while we set the precedent that set the prior occasions. Can't get that. I'm not saying you can't do it or shouldn't do it, I'm just saying you have to give that all the
It's just a bad deal, sort of influence that.
No, I knew this was my political philosophy remains the same. There's no disrespect to anybody in the room. And my political philosophy differs from certain members of this board who've never met a spending project or a favorite project they haven't liked and funded. I'm different. That's just the way I am. Hold it against me, hate me for it, doesn't really matter. I'm 64 years old. I vote my conscience and I vote the way I told people I was going to vote. I'm not changing that. I knew this would come to a show tonight. I mean, it's just the way this thing operates. I can deal with it either way.
But in their defense, I had no idea they were coming prepared to do this.
I'm not asking who you want. This just doesn't happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't write in on the cover. And I appreciate y'all being here. Nothing derogatory to any member in this room.
So Jack, you don't think the fire thing is, I guess what I was asking is, can we discuss that, set the regular part of the budget and the fire? I know we gotta pass it all at the same time. You're saying we can't vote on it separately, we have to vote on one.
I think the terms of action say that you pass a budget ordinance, and the budget ordinance includes setting all tax rates in your ordinance. And so that's what this ordinance does. And I don't know if you can have a separate ordinance for that. I have to refer to our financial expert, but I've never seen it split out.
I've never tested my plan, and it's
Part of the budget
part of the
process.
budget process. You could, of course, we should want to time everything discussed. You could, have another meeting, continue this meeting for a subsequent day, but you've got to have the budget approved by June 30th. If not, we'll go to an interim budget, we'll not go there.
You do, we'll go to an interim.
No, so, it's not like tonight's drop dead. You have just a little more time, but not much.
One of the reasons for that is, let me give you a little bit of background. One of the reasons for that is you can't adopt the budget tonight, tax bills go out tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. It takes a while to get all the stuff ready, to go through what the tax department has to do in order to apply the tax rate, whatever it is, to the property out there. So it takes them a while to do that. And we try, Richard and his folks do a really good job of trying to get the tax bills out as soon as we can after July 1st, when the fiscal year begins. We do that in order to keep the cash flow going and to make sure that we don't run out of money, before with expenses before the funds come in. So that's why I think one of the reasons, the main reason why we've got on the local level, the county level especially, trying to get a budget adopted by at least the middle of June, so they have 2 weeks to prepare what they need to do for the tax bills to go out in July.
How much is this going to cost us, $4,000 a year? How much will it cost us?
With the tax increase is going to be.
$25,470
So penny was good.
And their tax rate in that district, in that district, in that district.
So in other words, that'd be $1,300.
Right, yes, that's correct, 1 cent per $100. So if you had a $150,000
$15.
$15, so.
You just got to have a whole 1 cent on it to do it.
Well, the budget of salary would be about 28, 29 plus benefits, which are about 36. It's back, 401k.
Paul said Penny wouldn't fund it all.
He won't fund it all.
No, when I explained that in the original presentation, that we had paid off some trucks we bought, we got a better rate on the new trucks we purchased. We're designating some of those continuing funds that we have to that position. So we're not asking for the whole salary for this paid person. We're taking some of the money we have that we were having to spend to mow the lawn and to do some other things is gonna help do that. This person will be a facilities manager, so they'll do some cleaning and some mowing and some trimming and some fixing and some repairing and some testing and stuff. It's costing us money now outside, so we're not asking for the entire salary and benefit package. We're asking for around $25,000.
I think we just need to make a decision.
I voted last week, I thought we had this thing pretty wrapped up. I thought we had it wrapped up the week before we added another $500,000 to it. So,
Well, I have.
I think we have the reason.
All right, I'm gonna say this right here. I guarantee you, if it was gonna make a bet on it, I'm the tightest one to tell up with the account spending the money. I see Bobby Coker back there and agree with that. Well, I don't know if I'm doing right or wrong or not, but I understand where you're at. I'm probably not gonna vote for this budget, I really ain't, there's some things that's haunting me. But I'm gonna make the motion to fund that thing. So, let's see what happens.
We have a motion to fund the 1 cent. We have a second motion. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion passes. All right. That will become, that is part of the budget ordinance for you. You'll have to make that change. Maybe I'll put the gallons, but you'll have to change that in the budget ordinance. You don't mind talking? Well, very nice. I agree.
That's a tough decision. I guess to be honest with you. But I've always said I'm going to serve this.
All right, before you, budget ordinance for the year 2013, 2014, which does I'll move with the past budget ordinance. Let's present it.
Change.
Second. We have a motion to approve the budget ordinance as presented. And we have a second. Any discussion on the budget?
No, we want to make it done.
Go right ahead.
Uh, 2 years in a row, we've had a unanimous vote on this board for the budget. Comfort services is the best we can have. Comfort safety is the best we can have. And I'm for funding the teachers and students and having the best education we have. There's a 9% increase correctly going on in this budget from last year. There's also several other things that I've read through it that my values of what I'm going to spend tax dollars for to make the county citizens not a part of it. I think every one of them that has worked in this budget in every way.
Ron, as far as the ending budget, we just approved the ordinance. The ending budget was 48,515. Budget we were asked to approve next year is 47,145. It's less.
Well, yeah, I couldn't tell me the difference.
That was the,
Ending the actual.
yeah, what was the proposed budget of last year?
Started off with.
That was 40.
Amendments to the year for additional revenues and so forth. The ending budget that y'all just approved the ordinance on is 48 something. That's what it was after the amendments. That happened after July 1st.
That's
Start
actual
off less than that. Start off less.
We're setting a proposed budget now.
Yeah, we're setting a proposed budget, and that budget will be amended through the year too, and I'm sure there'll be fluctuations in revenues and expenditures as we go through
So
the
to
year.
compare one to the other, you need to compare the proposed to last year's proposed. I would say.
It's a 9% difference, ain't it?
So the last year's proposed budget, which we're fixing tonight for the next coming year, how do those two numbers compare?
45,789. According to, is that okay?
I'm thinking it's like 44.3 million roughly.
But that is correct.
Yeah, all the amendments throughout the year. We took out, we increased, I think, last year, what, Jack, 3 or 4 million?
Some of that, of course, you recall, it came from fund balance. The county had the money already, which is in fund balance. It was taken out of fund balance.
And some of that for debt service.
And some of it, some of it was for the recreation project and so forth, some of the things that were funded during the year, they were funded out of fund balance instead of out of, and we had some other grant programs and so forth that came in during the year that pushed it up.
But if you compare, if you go back to the final budget in 2006-30-2008, the final budget was 50,096,000. So we're less than that.
That was the final, yeah, the final, correct. If you've got a big expense, big hit during the year, that can jump. Compare proposed to proposed, I think is what Mr. Hagan was comparing.
Agreed.
As an increase.
But from 07-08 till now, the budget, compare all the proposed ending budget, it's either less or it's been relatively flat. There's been certainly no increases. Any other discussion?
I just want to throw out there that I'm obviously in favor of this budget because I made the motion to approve it. However, I would like to put out to you gentlemen and ladies that I think it's going to be of dire importance for our communication center and getting more staff soon. We're getting a little overtaxed and a little overwhelmed. You know, you don't want to see government grow in a lot of respects. Sometimes there's necessities that it's not going to happen this year, but it'll be right next year. It's going to be an inevitable item.
You want? Any other discussion on the budget?
Since I did second the budget, I think that we're going to have more work on. I think this is seventh one that we've got to have the opportunity to work on. And, during the meantime, we have to get the budget ready to plan. If tax rate is relatively flat. The only tax rate we've had since I've been on this board, increase, perhaps lowering taxes across the board is the school. And it's dedicated to the school. And we're very proud of it. So, you know, this budget, and we live in Macon County, we're blessed in a lot of ways. So to have, we can fund our services, and I would support Commissioner Tate, even at the EMS, is going to have help. I think the dispatch, more I'll find out more about that. So we'll certainly look at that. That we don't probably pay us in the best safety program. As is all the people sitting behind each other. That's what we're all about. So, I appreciate all the work, all the input from all the committees on this budget, and especially our county manager and finance director. I think we've got a good workable budget. It is, and it's just, like Paul said, it's just a proposal. But we will change. Everyone because I've been on this board, and this one will also change. So, with that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your leadership on the budget process, and we're ready to go.
I want to commend Jack and Lori and our department heads for, I think they've done a wonderful job. They were given a directive by us back in January. We met, and that directive was pretty simple. We asked them to balance the budget using current revenue sources with no tax increase. That's what we asked them to do. That wound up being a tall order, because the school system got cut by the state and the federal government. So we're looking at 1.9 million to make up. So last month, we had the school board trim it back. They've done that. We're talking about trimming back. We've seen them trim it back. We've seen them also spend their fund balance in the past 2 years. The different opinions about that, but they've done that to balance the budget. They don't have a fund balance anymore. I feel like being conservative is when you balance the budget with no tax increase. I feel like being liberal is when you want to spend the fund like the federal government did with the stimulus, spend money they didn't have. And look, how's that worked out for us? The federal government spent money we didn't have on recurring expenses, like counties, like some school systems use that to balance the budget. Non-recurring money, recurring expenses, doesn't work out. No accounting will suggest you do that. And our county manager had recommended we do that. I did some quick calculations. If my numbers are right, and I had asked her about this earlier. As of June 30th, we'll have, and Jack balanced this budget with about $2 million in undesignated fund balance as a revenue source to fund primarily non-recurring expenses, like one-time purchases, equipment acquisitions, so on and so forth. And that our fund balance on June 30th will be about $14,200,000. That's almost exactly 30% fund balance. That's enough to operate the county for 3.6 months. A little more than our 25% goal, but it's not a lot. So I support the use of that fund balance. Balance today. We've done some things this year. This is a recommendation of Commissioner Tate and very professional work from Ms. Lori Hall. And that was to look at our interest rates on all our loans. And we did modifications with little or no cost to the taxpayer. And we saved over $2.5 million in money that was going to banks for interest. And that money is able to be used in our budget for other things such as law enforcement, the things that we talked about tonight, EMS, recreation, our school system. I guess we had a bigger increase in this budget for schools. Anything else? Started out asking for $1.9 million, wound up getting $430 million. We still have the lowest tax rate in the state. So we have not had evaluation. I understand that. So I went and looked. I've got the numbers for them. I'd like to have them. The North Carolina Department of Revenue did an effective tax rate for every county In other words, you scoop up your property and you take it there, all 100 counties, and you put it down. How much tax am I gonna pay? You do the effective tax rate, which just for the fact that we haven't had a revale, we're not the lowest, we're the fourth lowest. Carteret County is lowest, followed by Swain County, followed by Watauga County, followed by Macon County. So we're number 96 effective tax rate. Do we want to pay more tax? No. Would I rather pay less tax? Yes. But you still have to pay for the services that we need. 75% of our budget is law enforcement, is public safety, and education. That's 75% of our budget. So if you cut it, you've got to cut 75% of that out of education and public safety. So you have to decide, are we getting a good deal for the dollar? And I think this budget is very conservative, and I plan to support it. So that's what I say. Any other discussion?
I appreciate what the staff has done on this budget. We had a great working budget last week. Appreciate all your departments, all you guys that we brung out here, everybody that made the presentation. You know, we bounced this around. We've run particularly school board for months. And I was fairly comfortable with it, thinking that, you know, we were doing good. But then last week we came in and just at the snap of a finger, we picked certain departments after a public hearing and awarded over $5 million or $500,000 up in the budget to 47, what is it, 47? 145. And I think there's some items in there that I can in good conscience vote for. I don't think this board as a whole has a strong appetite to hold the line on spending or certainly to cut spending. And I think that's going to come in the future. It's just a matter of do we wait, like some departments, and go off what we call fiscal cliff, or do we start planning on controlling or reducing spending? But again, I do think everybody that's worked on it, and all you people that come made eloquent presentations, I appreciate your time, your input, and your interest in the future of this county. I think we all are.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the budget, raise your right hand. All opposed to the budget, raise your right hand. Budget passes. Anything else to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman, thank the board, and we'll prepare for next year.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
I'm proud.